Hello everybody, Andrew Casey from Hypersanity Books for Kids. Today I'm doing the I'm an Annoyed Booktuber tag. The Mild Rumpus did a video about this tag. I've communicated just recently and I thought maybe I should do this tag. And while wearing my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt, because what's better to complain about things while wearing a kid's shirt for a channel I've designed for kids? Otherwise, let's get to know me better and get into it. Question 1. Do publishers do anything that annoys you? The most common thing that I have with publishing houses, big and small and self-publishing and hybrid publishing and traditional publishers, is contacting to rebrand Dark Sparrow within the part where they own the bigger royalties, also trying to rechange the story. I find one of the most annoying things. Dark Sparrow I found was a unique character, and in part of the story there's the infatuation for Jane Turner's father, who is 30 years her senior, and I thought that was a bit different of an approach. But there's others that want to turn her to be in the LGBT community with a 30-year age gap between her and another woman. So, within keeping to my own artwork and what I've created, no, I get quite frustrated with publishing houses of all different types that make contact in the inappropriate way. And because time zone differences are frustrating, I get calls from all different areas of the world. Otherwise, there are a lot of scams out there as well, so trying to do background checks get quite difficult. So there are certain paths and people where I build relationships, and I'll stick to certain paths to publish my work. Question 2. Have you ever been annoyed by a spoiler? Well, there's a lot of context to spoilers within books. On the subject matter of books, yes, there are some books where I think, well, they've already spoiled a reveal, and I feel like it was too early in a story where there could have been more mystery for a bigger twist or a climactic point. So, yeah, there are times I do get annoyed where I think you had potential with your story, and if you just tweaked it a little bit, it would be better. Sometimes it doesn't annoy me as much as I think. It really depends on the context of the question. Question 3. Have you ever been annoyed by what you discovered in a small free library? Well, with different small book exchanges, haven't been annoyed with anything. Most people within different communities have been quite civil, so there are different mailbox drop-off areas where there are book exchanges. I like the idea, and I haven't seen anyone misuse that, so I don't have anything to complain about on that subject. Question 4. When it comes to short stories collections, and there's a novella put in the middle, does that annoy you? I haven't encountered this subject matter before, though yes, it would annoy me. I find if you're reading something within a series, you want to be able to read it onwards. One thing I do hate when this sort of thing is done, and this is just another example, you have The Lion King 2, and then the third movie is called 1.5. I am frustrated with that type of thing. I see this with a lot of books, and there are a lot of self-published authors that do this. They have book 0.5, 1.5. I also found with a certain story, you can have your timelines represented in different places to tell the story, but just keep it as 1, 2, 3 or something like that. Keep the story consistent and flowing. But when you have a collection but you need to read a novella in the middle, yes, that would absolutely annoy me with a short story collection, because I find, what is the point of reading something relevant when it's not part of the collection? But you have to read the novella to understand the story. That annoys me. Question 5. Deckled edges. I don't like deckled edges on paperbacks. I find it's a silly idea and they fall apart quite easily. Although, deckled edges within hard-covered books I do enjoy, especially some of the books that my wife has were published in the late 1800s with deckled edges and hardcovers. There are some of the children's books that she has that are quite valuable today. At the moment, they're stored away in a safe spot where I can't get to them right away, because of some other plans that we have with them, but they're such classic, valuable books now. Even a first edition Huckleberry Finn. Now, some people will argue with the type of story that it is. Again, it's a part of history, so you can take it or leave it. Question 6. Other people's annotations in used books or library books? One point that I want to bring up first, if you're part of a religious group and sharing someone's Bible and they do that with their own book, it's understandable, and you're borrowing someone's book, so yeah, it's a given. When it comes to library books, absolutely not. I find it does annoy me. It's drawing your attention to a specific part of the story or makes you want to skip over it. And it's actually more frustrating than anything because you're not enjoying the read. So when it's done to library books, it does annoy me. Question 7. If there's a series or collection of books with sudden changes. This is one of my number one pet peeves. Okay, I like the original 62 Goosebumps books, and then those covers have been rebranded with a different type of cover, and then it's been rebranded with something else that's an irrelevant picture. Say they did this with the Series 2000 books as well. I don't like that. I like to keep consistency within a book series. However, on to another argument. I also found when wanting to collect certain books, I wanted to buy the collection of Diary of a Wimpy Kid for my son. And just looking at the spines has annoyed me because you got one half of the book series published by one publishing house with 3 different types of spines, and then you have the other half that's been published by another publishing house that's done the same. So within the entire collection of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, there is no consistency within the covers. However, as another argument, they are different types of books on how they've been marketed to reach out. So there is a understanding for a lack of consistency. But when you have a series, I prefer the series to maintain consistency. I also find there is a lot of consistency with, to what I gather, with the Beast Quest books. However, with Beast Quest, the other problem that I have with that, it's hard to collect that type of series because it's gone through so many series and so many books that it's actually hard to get the book series. The other thing I don't like with Beast Quest is you read one, you read them all. Question 8. Do the choices of characters in a book annoy you? Alright, well here's an argument. Forrest Gump is mostly written in the first person unreliable perspective because his mental health, he's an unreliable source on how he interpretates the world. The book is still different from the film, though I appreciate the movie after reading the book, and I appreciate the book watching the movie. I have a love for both, and I find the movie and the book both complement each other. I also find the Lieutenant Dan character has some poor choices in book and film, though I can be somewhat empathetic and sympathetic, and some of the scenes can be a bit overwhelming with Lieutenant Dan. Though Lieutenant Dan also comes to some positive resolution.
I never thanked you for saving my life.
He never actually said so, but I think he made his peace with God.
I love this within the movie and the book. Reading a book, I have a lot more leniency to get into the character, so when characters make silly decisions, like with relationships with certain people and toxic relationships, I'm more empathetic towards that character. When I see it in a film or a movie, I actually get a lot more vocal because of making silly choices, especially when characters are obviously doing something that's ridiculous. And there are certain characters that I see, they should be on Dr. Phil. Question 9. Are you ever annoyed how someone organises their bookshelf? Well, let me explain a story. I do get annoyed when I see there is a book collection and they're just not right in the number order. That does annoy me. So I find if you had a collection, yes, you'd keep it to the number order. when it comes to the subtitles to a book and they're out of the order, I do find that annoying. Therefore, on some bookshelves, yes, it has annoyed me. When I was younger, at the video store, Sega Mega Drives was big back in my day, and my brother would go to the video store and he would, instead of leaving, he would rearrange the shelves to make sure it's all in order. And then eventually got into the other sections of the video store, rearranging the horror section to be in alphabetical order, and so on.
Him.
Excuse me, sir. You don't work here.
Yes, well, apparently neither does anyone else.
So there was some sort of order and consistency, which I actually appreciate having that order and structure now, because over some years he's organised his life in such a good way, he's quite successful, and moving forward to some bigger goals, I also find one day I'd like to turn Hypersanity Books into a books company and have bookstores. So having certain management skills that he has of organisation is a good way to get your business in order. So actually bringing the argument to a different discussion, I do appreciate when someone puts effort and pride into their books. I have seen a lot of people on TikTok and Booktube who have some amazing book collections. Question 10. Something bookish that annoys you. Well, I want to go on two schools of thought for this. The first is the negative. I put out my email, andrewcasey@hypersanitybooks.com. I do have some people who have made contact in different social media outlets that push their book to be reviewed, and they push another book. So there are some in my other channel. I have removed up to 60 videos just from e-willed correspondences. On the positive note, I've also made correspondence. The Mild Rumpus, I will be leaving a link to his book tag at the end of this video. I quite engaged in his content. He made contact when I started my newbie tag. You sort of build your community from different people. So within this community, yes, I'm going to do book tags in Hypersanity Books for kids and keep the content for middle grade authors. This way it's a family-friendly channel for everyone. With the positive side of things, I've also left something in a community tab for She Named Me Wolf. Currently, you can grab yourself a free copy of that book before it's going to go back up in price and her sequel comes out. So check out that book. It's quite a fantastic read. If you do see something that I post in the community tab, thank you for the engagement and doing the quizzes as they come through your feed. Also, if you do see a book advertised, chances are you're going to pick yourself up something for free and something that I personally will recommend. So within the community, yes, I can review your book within reason. So if you do want to make contact for a book review, it's andrewcasey@hypersanitybooks.com. The only thing I ask is that you read my book as well, Dark Sparrow. Though, if you are under the age of 15, I don't recommend you to read the book. It's for an adult audience. Otherwise, that's it for today. I will see you all next time.